Time for Dodger baseball.
Swung on and missed a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter.
The Dodgers are going to the World Series.
Bellinger hammers the ball. It's Bellinger's turn. Lifts a fly ball to left center field. Back towards the wall. It is gone. Mookie with another 3-home run game.
And welcome to the Dodgers Nation post-game show. I'm your host, Doug McCain. Thanks for rocking with us here after a tough loss for your Los Angeles Dodgers. They lose tonight, and they lose their unbeaten streak. They're now 13-1-3 in series this year. The Dodgers, they dropped tonight's one to the Colorado Rockies, and you just got to believe that Corey Seager was going to come up there with the opportunity to tie things up, to get the Dodgers on top. After hitting 2 runs tonight, Corey Seager doesn't come through. But like Jack Black said in Nacho Libre, you can't win them all. Another streak will be started, and it'll start this upcoming week. Got a big week with the Astros. We're going to break all of tonight's action down. Lots to get into on this one. Lots to unpack in tonight's game. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. But you know how we get things kicked off here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Let me know where you represent Dodgers Nation here on this Labor Day weekend. Let me know in the comments. Give me those cities, zip codes, area codes, and then give me your fire Dodger takes from tonight's game. Tonight's loss for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're still way out front here in first place of the NL West. They fall to 30-12, 5 games ahead of the San Diego Padres, and are now 13-1-3 in series this year. Only the second time all year they've lost the last game of a series. And it was a wild one. The Dodgers, they came back 3 times in 6 innings. They wiped out deficits all night long. But at the end of the day, the Dodgers bullpen, Caleb Ferguson, he gives up a bomb. Julio Urías, coming off his best start of the year, I thought he was going to string together a couple of great starts in a row. He did not finish the job tonight. Julio Urías, he did not get it done in tonight's. It wasn't his worst start by any stretch, but Julio Urías, he goes on the night. Julio Urías, he ends up going 4 1/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 75 pitches for Julio Urías. But yeah, we're going to break down all of tonight's action, but I want to jump right into these comments. How did you guys feel about tonight's loss? I know this one hurts because we had that perfect streak going. 14, it was supposed to be 14 series this year, 14 series win of the Dodgers, but unfortunately they dropped tonight's game to the Colorado Rockies, which they've dominated at Dodger Stadium. It's been a house of horrors for the Colorado Rockies at Chavez Ravine. Heading into tonight, the Dodgers had won 24 of 29 matchups at Dodger Stadium. This year, the Dodgers are 27-6 now when they hit a home run. So really, when the Dodgers, they get some bombs, they go deep, it's their recipe for success. They're 4-5 when they don't hit a home run, and tonight the Dodgers hit 4 home runs and 2 from Corey Seager. So it looked like a Dodgers win, but give that Rockies team credit. They're playing with their playoff lives. Their postseason dreams are going to be met in the next couple weeks. Will they be able to make the postseason? Well, it banks on their ability to win big games, and they were playing tough baseball down the stretch. But let's jump into these comments, guys. Lots to get into. Train, Dodgers are famous for choke. Travis, the 801, Magna, Utah, 619 from Tay, Doug Crosby, East Lansing, Michigan. Paul Lopez, loss on Smith and Ferguson. Matt Kemp couldn't catch up to an 85-mile-per-hour fastball back in the day. Why curveballs? Yeah, he left that curveball up, and that's the 3rd straight appearance for Caleb Ferguson where he's given up a bomb. 3 straight appearances, one against Arizona, one on Friday night to Pilar, and tonight, unfortunately, Matt Kemp, he goes deep. So that trend, he needs to reverse that trend. And it looked like the Dodgers were going to coast to another victory, and that they were too much for this Rockies team. By coming back 3 times in 6 innings, the Dodgers erased the deficit tonight, but they fall to the Colorado Rockies. And Caleb Ferguson, unfortunately, that trend, like I said, needs to be reversed. A third straight appearance with a home run delivered up by Caleb Ferguson. And let's go ahead and break down. Let's jump back into these comments. And you guys got a lot to say here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. By the way, the sky is not falling. The Dodgers still the best team in Major League Baseball, but a little wake-up call this weekend. No Mookie Betts today. He gets the day off. This Dodgers offense tonight, they got the home runs. And usually that's going to be a recipe for success for this Dodger team. Corey Seager, last 7 games, hitting .462 with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. That's the guy you want at the plate in that clutch situation. A hell of an at-bat for Gavin Lux there. Works it to 10 pitches, falls behind 0-2, works the count full, and he gets on base. Edwin Rios gets on base before him, and it looked like it was going to be another Dodger walk-off. After 12 last year, could have been the 3rd this year, and it felt like it was inevitable because the Colorado Rockies, they're sitting over there saying, look, how do we beat this juggernaut, the Los Angeles Dodgers? We're hitting home runs, we're getting hits, and fortunately, they got one tonight, so credit to the Colorado Rockies playing hard. 3-game series in the playoffs is scary from Jonathan Morin. Yeah, 3-game series is something that is going to be a coin flip. How's it going, Doug, from the 626 Rowland Heights from Patrick Gagne? We got Cesar. Thank you, Dave Roberts, for another bad coaching decision. Not only you change pitchers when there was no need, you have 2 players in the lineup that are 0 for 25, Lux and Beatty. And the top of it, you sit our best players, and not only we lost our first series, thank you once again, Dave Roberts. Cesar Chole is not happy with Dave Roberts. Who do you guys pin tonight's loss on? Do you pin it on Doc? Do you pin it on the bullpen? Look, this Dodgers bullpen has been outstanding all season long. This bullpen is second in Major League Baseball in ERA, and they've carried this team for long stretches this year. The Dodger bullpen on the year, they headed into tonight with a 2.42 ERA, 167 and 2/3 innings pitched. That's 7th in Major League Baseball. But Dodger starters have only gone 6 innings pitched, 6 innings or more in 14 of the 42 Dodger games this year. So in only 14 of the 42 Dodger games this year, Dodgers starters have gone 6 innings or more. So last year, if you remember, it was Hyun-Jin Ryu. It was Clayton Kershaw. It was quality start after quality start. That hasn't been the case this year for a multitude of reasons. Walker Buehler, he was ramping up slowly. Clayton Kershaw, he was nursing a tight back to start the season. Ross Stripling, he had a good start, but he fell off. Alex Wood, he gets injured. And then they're trying to develop, in a sense, Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin. And Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, they're responsible for, I believe, you got Dustin May for 3 of those 14, and Gonsolin with 2 of those 14. So the young guns, they're stepping up, and Clayton Kershaw is as well. But Urías and Buehler have not gone deep into games very many times this season. But here we go. Rockies are casually beating the Dodgers like nothing. We got bullpen blue at 3x. So, yeah, let me know who deserves the biggest slice of blame pie in tonight's game. Is it the bullpen? Is it Dave Roberts? Let me know down below in the comments. Is it the offense not scoring after the 7th inning? That has been the MO for this offense, is their ability to score late in games. Unfortunately, in the final 3 frames in tonight's matchup, we didn't see that success that we've been accustomed to. The Dodgers, they get their last runs in the 6th inning off that CT3 home run after that CT3 2-run shot to put the Dodgers on top. But the final 3 frames, they get nothing from this Dodgers offense. But here we go. Back into this comment section here. We got bullpen needs to turn it around before the playoffs. I think this bullpen, look, if you look at this, let's see what's going on here. If you look at this bullpen right now, this bullpen isn't, they've had their, look, they were due for some regression. They were definitely due for some regression because this bullpen had been taxed pretty much all season long, and they've found bright spots in Victor Gonzalez, Gratterall. Everyone's had their moments in the bullpen. Tonight, Dylan Floro wasn't very sharp. He comes in. He couldn't throw strikes. He couldn't find the strike zone. Dylan Floro comes in. He pitches an inning and a third gives up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 26 pitches, 15 for strikes. So, unfortunately, he comes in. Jake McGee, he goes a third of an inning, gives up a hit, gets a strikeout. Brusdar Gratterall, he goes 2/3 of an inning, gives up a hit. And then Kolarek, he did a nice job today. Kolarek came out there, and Kolarek, he had given up both the runners that he was faced with this season. Unfortunately tonight he gets out of it. So Kolarek comes through, and then Caleb Ferguson, that's the one that hurt the most. The 2-run bomb off Caleb Ferguson in the 8th inning, and the Colorado Rockies, they finish the job. They get the win tonight, 7-6, 12 hits for the Rockies tonight, 9 for the Dodgers, 6 runs, no errors, and the Dodgers lose their first series of the year to the Colorado Rockies. Here we go, though. Let's get back to these comments here. All good. Got to lose a series. Come on, people. Come on, peeps. Dodgers all day. That's from Edgar. Michael Ford, why no Betts? Doug, can you explain, please? Look, Mookie Betts is going to win the MVP this year. He's going to be the first in the National League, the first player to win an MVP in both leagues since Frank Robinson, and he's been on fire. Mookie Betts has been dominating this club, and in a one-run game, you lose by 1. Yeah, you got to assume that having Mookie Betts in the lineup today would have made a difference. Gavin Lux tonight, he goes 0 for 4 with a walk, that big at-bat at the end. But Mookie Betts, he's been on fire of late. Mookie Betts' last 7, he's hitting 429, he's slashing 429, 478, 714 with an OPS of 1193 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. His last 10, slashing 389, 489, and 583, OPSing over 1,000. And in the series, Mookie Betts, he was 5 for 8 with a home run, 2 RBIs, and no strikeouts. So no strikeouts and 1 strikeout for Mookie Betts. So he's been dominating this year. And look, he leads the team in F4 at 2.4. He's going to be the MVP winner. But unfortunately, no Mookie in the lineup. And that's something where you don't know when it's going to pay dividends. This team is still ahead of the San Diego Padres by, I believe it's 5 after the loss. 5 after the loss. They're way out in front in the National League. And Mookie Betts, he's been grinding all week. And, hey, they just thought, let's give him a day off. He's cold on the bench. Don't want to bring him out there. Let's just give it a day off for the Mookster. But unfortunately, you'd love to see him in there. I know you want to win every game. But unfortunately, the Dodgers, they dropped tonight's game to the Colorado Rockies. And they now have lost their first series of the year. But it's all right. They're going to get it together. Like Nacho Libre said, you can't win them all. And the Dodgers will start a new streak. But let's jump back into these comments. I want to see who you guys pinned tonight's loss on. Is it Dave Roberts? Is it the bullpen? Is it the offense not being as clutch as they've been all season long? And to me, a loss is a loss. This Rockies team is hungry. This Rockies team is starving for a postseason berth, and you saw that sense of urgency in tonight's matchup. They were ready. They were fired up. That dugout is just like banging their batting helmets. That dugout is a feisty bunch, and they really wanted this one. And all those losses have been mounting year after year. They haven't won a series since last year against the Dodgers. So this Dodger team, they're fine. They're still the best team in the National League, in all of Major League Baseball by a wide margin. But you're starting to see areas where the Dodgers can improve, and areas where you're going to see them you're going to see areas where there might be some leaks and there might be some minor chinks in the armor. This week we saw some struggles against left-handed pitching in the last few weeks. We saw some inability to hit breaking stuff. And then also this bullpen is starting to get taxed a little more and starting to show that wear and tear early on this season. But the good news is, one, you're going to get Joe Kelly back off that BS suspension and injury. Pedro Baez, Petey Baez has been the workhorse of this bullpen the last 2 years. Trinan, he's had a little struggle lately. Alex Wood coming back. He gives up that bomb yesterday. And then also, you're going to get one of Urias Gonsolin or Dustin May when the postseason starts. So reinforcements are on the way. I still think this is an elite bullpen, and it's the best bullpen the Dodgers have had in this run. And that's mainly due to a significant influx of talent, arm talent. And you got power arms, you got lefties. This Dodger bullpen is a dynamic group that can get it done in October, and I still am very high on this Dodger bullpen despite losing tonight's game and giving up a couple, despite Caleb Ferguson's struggles of late. But here we go. Seager still can't hit when we need him. Corey Seager, he's had a phenomenal year. Corey Seager he's really been an outstanding player this year for the Dodgers. If it wasn't for Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, to me, he'd be in the mix for MVP. He still is in the mix for MVP. And Corey Seager comes up there late. Only issue is, look, you know his numbers on first pitch. The numbers back it up. I call him the eager Seager, right? Mr. Hacktastic. He goes up there and he hunts fastballs, and usually it's good news for Corey Seager and the Dodgers because he's hitting almost 400 in his career on first pitch. But unfortunately, tonight, he doesn't get it done. But on the year, Corey Seager, he's been very, very he's come through for this Dodger team. With runners on, he's hitting 290. Runners in scoring position, hitting 273. And tonight, hits 2 home runs for the night. So, unfortunately, he doesn't get it done tonight at the end. Had an opportunity to, but the Rockies, they get the win, and the Dodgers, still the best team in Major League Baseball. They follow the Rockies tonight 7-6. Let's jump back into these comments here. Bruce Davis coming hard with the Roberts should be fired. Train, only CT3 and Mookie are clutch. Dodger yard. I'd say you got some clutch players. Corey Seager a few weeks ago, he had the go-ahead hit when the Dodgers won 2-1 to the Padres, I believe. So Corey Seager, he's played well this year, and he's had big hits. But here we go, Roberts and the bullpen from Jonathan. We got Jose. Dodger game won't be this close when we put up 1 to 3 pitches. Remember, Julio started this game. Roberts is the worst manager from Train. Stompy Joe, we need a manager who rides the horses. This is a 60-game season, no days off. Look, a lot of this time this year, this Dodgers rotation, they're going 6 days rest, right? And today, to Julio Urías, he didn't get that full rest that he had been getting all year. And I think that's good for this Dodger team because, one, you're going to need guys to assume those roles. And unfortunately tonight, Julio Urías, he didn't quite have the command of that slurve once he started to get it going. He was very effective with it. But unfortunately, only 75 pitches for Julio Urías, doesn't make it out of the 4th inning. Let's go ahead and break down Julio Urías' outing because tonight, unfortunately, the Dodgers, like I said, the Dodgers on the year, after tonight's game, they've outscored opponents 81-39. 81-39 in the final 3 innings. Unfortunately, not tonight. The Dodger offense didn't come through in the clutch, and the Dodgers dropped tonight to 7. They dropped tonight's game to the Colorado Rockies 7-6. But here we go. Let's break down all of tonight's action. Let's actually jump in. We'll get a couple more comments here, and then we'll take a look at Julio Urías' start tonight. And here we go. We got bullpen is going to cost us in the postseason. At least the Lakers won tonight from Daniel Foster. That's a good point. Hey, wasn't all bad for LA tonight. Lakers win. Neil, Floro was never that good. Always walks too many batters. Look, with Dylan Floro, last year he had a down year. 2018, he was one of the more reliable relievers for the Dodgers bullpen. Nick Adams, Dylan Floro wasn't very sharp, like the weather was a little bit warm today. Yeah. Paul Lopez, tonight, bullpen Matt Kemp beat us. He couldn't hit a 95-mile-per-hour fastball back in the day, and now we're throwing junk to him. So out of shape. Now he looks like a pear. Throwing shots at the 2011 MVP. Dodgers lost command. Brian, Alex, Fax, anybody else just ready for the Dodgers series against the Astros? Yeah, the Dodgers series against the Astros will be next week. It's going to be good. Like I said, I was happy. I wish that we had played the Astros this weekend with the heat wave. It would have been nice to be under. It would be nice to be close to some shade, right? To some shady figures like the Astros, because that's going to be a big series. And I think the Dodgers need a series like the Houston Astros series because, look, they're out in front by so many games, by such a wide margin. To have the Houston Astros come to Dodger Stadium, I think they're going to make another statement. They're going to pound the Astros. And the Dodgers, look, the Dodgers have been dominating all season long. Their record 30-12, still on pace to win something like 117, 118 games in a 162-game season. So, look, tonight the Dodgers, they took the L. They're now on a two-game losing streak, but they're going to be just fine. But here we go. Let's jump back into these comments here. I will bring them back down to earth. Plenty of games to go. Let's go Dodgers. Eric, it's baseball. Nobody wins them all. Give Mookie a rest. He won't rest in the playoffs. Great point from Eric over on Twitch. Yes, you lose tonight, but a fresh, rested Mookie Betts in the postseason is going to pay dividends when all these other teams are grinding it out to, one, get that postseason berth and try to improve their seeding. So the Dodgers, they have the luxury and the cushion to rest guys like Mookie Betts and some of the big aces of their staff. So we're going to see a fresh Dodger team come the postseason. And I think that, look, Mookie Betts, you give him the day off. It's Sunday. And you also give Gavin Lux. So, look, Mookie Betts didn't play tonight, but Gavin Lux did, and Gavin Lux, that was a breakthrough. That was a breakthrough at bat for Gavin Lux. Goes 0 for 4 tonight, but that big walk in the bottom of the ninth works his way back down from an 0-2 hole. I think it's still a positive development for Gavin Lux, who's been struggling mightily for the most part. Heading into tonight, he was hitting 167 in his last 7, 174 in his last 10, and he's now 2 for 10 in this series. Gavin Lux goes 2 for 10 in the series, and he gets in there, gets a walk, maybe get some confidence from that. I know Ferguson has been lights out, but his last 2-3 outings, he's not been the same. So same with Trinan. Yeah, Trinan, every now and then he'll have that inning. He'll have that moment where he struggles. Last night was an example. And then tonight, Caleb Ferguson, who's been one of the bright spots out of that Dodger bullpen, unfortunately another home run ball, this time to Matt Kemp. And he threw him a breaking ball, just hung there inside. Matt Kemp barely hits it out, but still, it was a 2-run bomb, and it was the difference in tonight's loss for the Dodgers. Our old friend Matt Kemp beat us today from Candido, Bruce, Roberts, Penn, both I blame. Edgar, nobody to blame. It's just baseball. It's just a regular season game. Hashtag Dodgers all day. I love Edgar Malera's energy. Yes, puts this into perspective. It's just one game that the best team in baseball lost at home on the hottest day in Los Angeles history, pretty much. And unfortunately, here we go. Careless, no rings without firing Roberts. I disagree with that. I still think Dave Roberts, look, Dave Roberts is not perfect. Dave Roberts does not come without any flaws, and some of the concerns is how does he manage a bullpen in a tight, high-leverage game. But one thing he does is he trusts his players. He's loyal to his players, and his players will run through a wall for Dave Roberts, and it's tough to fault a guy that's been to 2 World Series in the last 3 years, and I think that this year, Dave Roberts, look, if it goes south this year, if it's a first-round exit, then maybe we can talk about it. But for the most part, a winning percentage over 600, I would love that kind of success. I grew up a Dodger fan, and pretty much from when I was a kid until my first memory of winning was in 2004 when we won 1 game against the Cardinals in 2004. So Dodger fans, yes, they have all the resources, all the players you need to win a World Series, but look, sustained success and stability through Dave Roberts is something that I value. And unfortunately, look, I'm not saying that you should sign him to a lifetime contract. At some point, Dave Roberts in the next couple years has to win a World Series, but it's tough to come down on a manager who has the top record in Major League Baseball. And the Dodgers, they haven't been completely healthy all season. They've gone through some injuries early on. They came out of the gates, and they weren't hot for the first 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, they flipped a switch, and this Dodger team, best record in Major League Baseball, 30-12, 5 games ahead in the NL West. So, look, I'll take these annual NL West championships and an opportunity to go deep in the postseason because baseball, you just never know. But here we go. LOL, yes, a 130 hitter leading up makes no sense. That's from Couple Leva. That's true, but look, you can't put it. Look, experience is currency. Experience is currency. And to me, if Gavin Lux strikes out today, but he turns it on, and in the light, so basically, if Gavin Lux plays today, he gets that walk at the end. He starts to get better. On the year, this series he goes 2 for 10. But when it starts to click for Gavin Lux, at some point, he was the top prospect in Major League Baseball, was the minor league player of the year. The experience is currency, right? The father of perfection is repetition. He needs those reps, and yes, he takes him away from Mookie Betts, but you're acting like tonight was some must-win game that's going to change the fortunes of the Dodgers come postseason. To me, getting Gavin Lux playing time and having him ultimately overtake Kike Hernandez playing time, to me, is something that can help the Dodger team in the postseason. But here we go. No rings without firing Roberts. LOL, Roberts fired. You crazy managers don't have that much pull in games these days. Yeah, just look at Andrew Freeman's contract, right? Andrew Freeman has a major say in what this Dodger team does and how they're managed. And Dave Roberts, I think that he does do most of the managing and makes most of the calls. But for the most part, here we go. Our first series loss from Robert. Next, you're going to say we want Jim Tracy. Yeah, exactly. Jim Tracy, Hoffman. Yeah, I mean, I don't want any. I mean, look, Dave Roberts is he's not going to get a lifetime contract, right? At some point, if Dave Roberts does not come through, it'll be time to move on. But now is not the time, especially in a shortened season. But here we go. Kemp went in and out, had a burger, and then hit it out. What the F from Paul Harold. Stop blaming Roberts. Players need to show up. Yeah, exactly. Players need to be held accountable, and these players have led this team to the best record in Major League Baseball. But let's break down this game here. Top of the first, Tapia down on 3 pitches. A fastball, curve in the dirt. First pitch, first at-bat, a strikeout for Julio Urías. And it was that first inning. Will Julio Urías be able to get out of that first inning? He's given up 12 runs. At that point, he had given up 12 runs, and 7 of the 12 in the first inning for Julio Urías. So now it'd be 7 of the 16 runs in that first inning. And then he had Trevor Story in a 1-2 hole and walked him on a fastball outside. No walks on Tuesday, and then he issued his first free pass to the second batter of the game. So early on in that game, that's when I was starting to get concerned, because you started to see bad habits from Julio Urías start to resurface, and in that case, he walked Story on the second batter of the game. And then Urías almost picked off Story. He had him, but the throw down to second from first, the second from Bellinger was too high. It was a catchable ball for Lux, but he couldn't squeeze it, giving the Rockies a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Goes as a steal, but that was a play early on that was a little sloppy by the Dodger defense. And then Arenado flies to left. Trevor Story tags up to third. Then on a 2-2 count, Urías gets Blackman swinging on a high 96-mile-per-hour fastball. 2 strikeouts for Urías, 0 runs, 0 hits, and a man left in the first inning. Rockies stranded 1. And then at the bottom of the first, Gavin Lux, he leads off, pops up to Arenado for the first out. And then Corey Seager on an 0-2 count, he cranks an opposite field shot for his 10th home run of the year, extending his hitting streak to 9, a fastball, and that's Corey Seager. The first pitch dinging for Siegs, and he gets the Dodgers on the board. Muncy walks, Bellinger pops to short. A.J. Pollock was called down on strikes for the third out. So 1 run, 1 hit for the Dodgers after 1. Let's jump back into these comments here, and we'll head back into this game. No rings without firing Roberts. We got the weather definitely played a role this weekend. It's 114 L.A. Yo, this is nuts. Yeah, it was extremely hot. It was hotter than the sun's core, the devil's armpit, whatever you want to say. It was red hot, but fortunately for the Dodgers, that 7-10 start wasn't as brutal as something like it would have been a midday start, a 1-10 start like we're used to, or even a 4-10 start on a nationally televised game in that time. So the Dodgers, top of the second, Matt Kemp singles, his 18,000th hit for the People's MVP in 2011. Fuentes goes deep on Urías, a fastball right down the heart of the plate. 5th home run of the season surrendered by Julio Urías. Then Diaz gets a base hit, 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 left, 2-1 Rockies, 42 pitches in 2 innings for Julio Urías. So that pitch count was already getting up there after 2. And then bottom of the second on a 3-2 count, Will Smith, he hits a home run that just gets out of the yard for his 6th bomb of the year. And the Dodgers, they tied things up at 2. 4th since coming off the IL. Will Smith, show Will Smith some love. So let's weigh the positives with the negatives. And one positive tonight was Will Smith. He hits a home run. And Will Smith, he's been quietly one of the best Dodger hitters of late. Will Smith tonight, he goes 2 for 4 with an RBI, 1 strikeout for Will Smith. But his last 7 games, hitting .333, OPSing 1161, a home run. His last 10, he's hitting .316. For the series, heading in tonight, he was 2 for 4, so he goes 4 for 10 on the series, hitting .400. Best strikeout percentage on the team, best walk rate on the team. So Will Smith, he had terrible luck early on. A lot of hard hit balls. His selectivity, his pitch selectivity at the plate has improved. He's got the slugging. He's got the power numbers. I like what I'm seeing with Will Smith. To me, he's a big difference maker in the postseason. Just 1 game from Eric. Roberts is the opposite of perfect. Train. He's a Met. Train. Can you really say that? Can you really say that Dave Roberts is a mess? Like, I'm not saying that Dave Roberts is Tommy Lasorda yet or anything like that. But look, Dave Roberts, there's something to be said about consistency and stability. And Dave Roberts, look, the players have to execute. And Dave Roberts, look, he's like a player. Just when a player goes 0 for 4 in one night, so can a manager. And one thing Dave Roberts We'll see. We'll see if he's learned from his mistakes in previous postseasons with managing bullpens, taking guys out too early. But for the most part, Dave Roberts has led us to a consistent run here in the golden age of Dodger baseball. I don't know how long you've been a Dodger fan personally, but the Dodgers, this is not normal for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, very rarely were they even going to back-to-back postseason runs. This team, under the ownership of McCourt, even before that with the miserable ownership of Fox, and before that towards the end of the O'Malley regime, this team was not used to this level of success. So Dave Roberts being the head of that, look, if the Dodgers go or an early exit this year, if the Dodgers make it to the World Series and you see some egregious moves by Dave Roberts, then we'll talk about it. But to pin this loss on Dave Roberts when he has the Dodgers humming with the best record in Major League Baseball, I think that's a stretch. We all love Mookie Betts, right? A lot of people say Dave Roberts and Mookie Betts have a connection, that Dave Roberts and Mookie Betts have a level of respect with each other. Don't think that Mookie Betts would sign with the Dodgers for 13 years if he didn't like and respect playing for Dave Roberts. So you got to have a couple of different ways. And to me, I still think Dave Roberts, I still think that he has a couple years to get this team over the hump. And if he doesn't, we'll talk about it. Maybe Justin Turner, who knows? I mean, we'll talk about it. But here we go. Lux is shaky in the field. Yeah, that throw by Lux was a little off to first and like late in the game. Yeah, he doesn't look. He looked like like I said, he needs those reps. And he got those tonight. Here we go, though. We got this back-to-back loss hasn't damaged the Dodgers. They still have the best record in National League. No mofomo's in the house. What up? But here we go. Exactly, dude. What are you talking about? One game, folks, 60-game season. Regular season is in the bag. Let's worry about the playoffs. Yeah, to me, like I've been saying all season long, it's stay hot and stay healthy. Stay hot and stay healthy. And this team, for the most part, that's the key. Because, look, an injury at this point of the season, and Mookie Betts goes down for 2-3 weeks, the Dodgers could slide, and he could not be ready for the postseason, and we know that can happen. This is the difference, is having Marcus Lynn Betts in the lineup. So I'm totally fine. If a loss tonight means a healthy Dodger team moving forward, to me, it's totally fine. I'm not worried about it. And you also add the fact that you got guys like guys like Edwin Rios, Matt Beatty, and Gavin Lux getting opportunities to come through in the clutch. They didn't tonight, but still 2 walks. Matt Beatty struck out there. But I think, like I said, experience is currency for these young big leaguers. But here we go. Let's jump back in. We'll do a couple more comments, and then we'll jump back into these recaps. The Dodgers are far from perfect. No question. No one said the Dodgers were perfect here because no baseball team season is, okay? Only one that was anything about perfect is Sandy Koufax, who threw a perfect game. So, look, here we go. Replying to Paul Lopez, a lot of curves. Dodgers not winning a postseason against the Cardinals or Padres. Urías just haven't lived up to expectations from Neil K. I think that's a valid point because our expectations at one point was phenom, and then our expectations went from phenom to top-end starter. Then our expectations went to maybe he's a solid number 3. So the question with Julio Urías is, what is Julio Urías at this point? His last start, he was solid. Gives up 1 run in 6 innings. Tonight, didn't get the job done as much. Didn't pitch terribly tonight, but there's still a lot to like about Julio Urías. That's a great segue because we'll jump back into this recap here so we can check out more, learn more about Julio Urías' start tonight. Will Smith is great from Harold. Fresh Prince on my fantasy squad. He will be okay from Edgar Train. Lakers are going to win that chip. But here we go. We got the top of the third. He walks Story to lead off the third for his second walk of the night. So that's another theme that you saw tonight was the Rockies getting that leadoff batter on via the run. Was the Rockies getting that leadoff runner on via the hit, via the walk. They were doing that quite frequently tonight, and it put the Dodgers' backs against the wall in some of those innings where they were able to put up some runs. So at the top of the third, he walks Story to lead off the third for his second walk of the night, then gets Arenado to bounce into a pitcher's best friend, a double play, and then gets Blackman striking out looking for the third out. So there were a lot of flashes of excellence from Julio Urías tonight, but unfortunately, He didn't take it to the 6th inning like I wanted him to. So bottom of the 3rd, Lux flied out for the first out. Seager walked. Then Muncy takes a walk on the 10th pitch of the at-bat. Was able to check his swing to give the Dodgers runners on 1st and 2nd, 1 out. Then first pitch, Bellinger rips one to right. Bellinger makes the catch. Blackman makes the catch. And they doubled up Corey Seager at 2nd to end the threat. So one of the things we've been talking about is Max Muncy and Cody Bellinger, and when will they get hot? When will they play up to their standards for 2-3 weeks in a row? And Cody Bellinger, heading into tonight, he was 2 for 7 in the series. His last 7 games hitting 182, last 10 hitting 207. So it looked like Cody Bellinger had gotten out of it. Unfortunately, tonight Cody Bellinger, he goes 0 for 4. So for the season, for the series, he goes 2 for 10, and he's still not consistently putting together at-bats for this club and doing what he needs to do as the reigning MVP. So that's a missed opportunity for the Dodgers in that inning. And then in the 4th inning, so the 4th inning, really the best inning for Julio Urías. He gets his first 1-2-3 inning of the game, on 10 pitches, gets Pilar to line out to first. Gets Pilar to line out on the first pitch for the first out, gets Matt Kemp swinging with the top of the zone 93-mile-per-hour fastball for the second out, then gets Pilar to line out for the third out. So 3 outs, a 1-2-3 inning on 10 pitches, and that's when he settled down. He started to land that curveball for strikes. They were fouling it off. He was landing it for called strikes, kept the pitch count to 67, and after that inning, I said, okay, Julio Urías gives up the bomb, and then he's starting to settle down. I thought you were going to see a couple quick innings in a row, and he would get into that 6th inning. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, but in the bottom of the 4th, A.J. Pollock, he gets thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double by Blackman for the first out. So you had some base running blunders by the Dodgers tonight. Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, you had A.J. Pollock trying to stretch that one, and then Will Smith, he lines a base hit to center. Taylor lined to second for the second out. Matt Beatty grounds out for the third out. So 3 outs. Bottom of the 4th, another missed opportunity. This was the night with the Dodger offense. They could have put up some big numbers. We're talking double digits, lots of crooked numbers, but they ran themselves out of some innings here. But just jump back into more of these comments, and then we'll keep digging into this one. Comments about Urías shaking or good from Paul Lopez. Just can't everyone be happy. It's one game. I feel good with this team and Roberts in the playoffs. Yeah, to me, I think that if this team was dominating and never losing, it'd be tough to identify areas where the Dodgers could correct and areas that they need a little more refining as we head to the postseason. So you don't want to peak right now. You want to peak in a few weeks, right? You want to peak when the stakes are high and the Dodgers are chasing that Commissioner's Trophy. And I think tonight the Dodgers, they lose 2 in a row. They got a big week ahead of them. Lots of nationally televised games. This Dodger team, look, they're playing in front of no one. They're playing in front of so I apologize to the cardboard cutouts. But they're playing in front of no one, and they're up in the division by almost 6 games as this game was going on, and they're dominating in the NL West. So the Dodgers need this fuel as they try to finish off this season in what's really been a dominating 60-game season for this club. But here we go. Let's head to the top of the 5th inning. So top of the 5th inning is where Julio Urías, or we got here, Brian, put him in the bullpen from Brian. We got Jay. Gonzalez is going to be a phenom when he cracks the starting rotation in a year or so. Jay, I don't know if you've been watching the show, but I've been saying that Gonzalez is my dude. He is a straight dude out there in the bullpen. Bruce Dar gets all the hype, and rightfully so, because I love me some brother Gatorade. But, hey, Victor Gonzalez is a dude out there in the pen. But here, top of the 5th inning, Hampson reaches on a bunt single. Urías gets Diaz swinging for his 6th punch out of the night. Hampson steals second on the play. Got a huge jump, giving the Rockies runners in scoring position for Tapia. And then Tapia bangs one into left to score Hampson, giving the Rockies a 3-2 lead. So they get the bunt single, steal second, and cash in with the single to left. And then Floro comes in. That was it for Julio Urías. Floro comes in, and he gets Story to fly to the warning track to right center. Tapia advances to third, and then the next batter, Floro, he falls behind 3-1 to Arenado, and the next pitch, Arenado, he drives home Tapia with the single to left to make it 4-2 Rockies. It was a great at-bat by Arenado, and he struggled at Dodger Stadium, And he puts together a nice at-bat, some great takes, made Floro throw a strike there, and he takes full advantage. And the Rockies, they take a 4-2 lead at that point. And then Muncy makes a nice stop on a Blackman ground ball to get him with the fielder's choice at second. So 1 run on 2 hits and a walk. And Dylan Floro did not look sharp tonight, had issues finding the strike zone. But let's jump here. Popping up all the time from Thomas. I said it before, and I will say it again until you people understand. Roberts cannot win close games. He is a terrible skipper from Paul Fitzpatrick over on Facebook. Looks like he's always going to be the one that gets dragged when the Dodgers lose, right? He's going to take the brunt, and that is something that I think that Dave Roberts is fully aware of. I think that Dave Roberts is fully aware of that. And I think that you're going to see, and that's the thing with Dave Roberts. He understands that if he doesn't win a World Series, he won't be the manager of the Dodgers if he doesn't win a World Series the next, 1, 2, 3, 4 years. But that is the standard, and that's the expectations. I hate to use the World Series or bust, but at some point it is World Series or bust for Dave Roberts. But here we go. Bottom of the 5th inning. Kike doubles to left, Lux flies out. Corey Seager ambushes the first pitch offering from Castellani for his 2nd home run of the night, his 11th of the year to even things up at 2. He's now barreled 22 balls this season. That's 2nd in Major League Baseball behind Fernando Tatis Jr. Corey Seager, more barrels than Donkey Kong for Siegs this year. And then Castellani's night was done after the home run. Estevez comes in and gets Muncy swinging for the 2nd out, then gets Bellinger to line out for the 3rd out. But the Dodgers, they get 2 runs on 2 hits. Kike doubles, Seager bomb, and we were all knotted up at 4 in the bottom of the 5th. So after the bottom of the 5th, 4-4 game, heading into the top of the 6th, Floro walks Pilar to start the 6th frame. So you don't walk the lead-off batter. That is what we've been saying since the start of this show, right? You don't walk the leadoff batter, and Floro, he walks Pilar to start the 6th. 5 balls in a row to start the at-bat with Kemp before he tosses 2 straight strikes and gets Kemp to ground to first. And then Pilar advances into scoring position, gets Fuentes swinging with his signature sinker for the 2nd out. Then McGee comes in to face Hampson, misses for ball 1, then pounds 2 straight heaters to make it 1-2, misses with his 4th offering, and then Hampson crushes a 2-out triple to score Pilar, making it 5-4 Rockies. McGee comes back to Fan Diaz for the 3rd out of the inning. So another at-bat where Floro really put this bullpen really set this bullpen back with his lack of control in this one. McGee comes in, gives up that triple to Pilar, gives the Rockies a 5-4 lead. Then in the bottom of the 6th, a leadoff single for Pollock, grounder that trickled into the center field grass. And Will Smith, he takes strike 3 on the outside corner for the 1st out, and 11th strikeout of the season to 16 walks. So we were mentioning earlier, Will Smith has had a great eye at the plate, great at-bats all season. Unfortunately, he takes strike 3 right there. Chris Taylor goes opposite. Then the next batter up, CT3 goes oppo bomb for his 3rd of the year. So CT3's 3rd home run of the year. And just like that, the Dodgers were back on top 6-5. The Dodgers' 4th bomb of the game, 3rd opposite home run of the game, 18th home run of the season in 6 games against the Rockies. In 6 games against the Rockies, Dodgers 18 home runs. The Rockies have the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball. So, yes, they took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, but I'm not afraid of this Rockies team at all whatsoever. I hope we match up with them once again in the postseason. And then Beatty strikes out swinging for the 2nd out, and then Kike, he grounds out to 3rd. Let's jump back into these comments here, guys. Good God, do I need a PPO out on you? Brian Alex, if he don't every year, he managed would be great. Or bust. Doug and Em, get a room. Seager MVP from Thomas. Who's your MVP of the Dodgers? Let me know right down below in the comments. Replacing Doc is the first thing the Dodgers need to do to win. Jay Vila, the 3-game series in the playoffs is ridiculous. Helps out the teams that shouldn't even be in the playoffs. We will see a 1 seed get bounced early from the playoffs this year in a 3-game series. I just hope it's not my Dodgers. That's from Jay Vila. You are spot on with that one. I agree 100% with that take. I think that they should have given a bye, just like we see in the NFL, because you can't afford to lose the Dodgers. You want to go up against college football, the NFL, the NBA playoffs without your marquee franchises? That would be a disaster. That would be an absolute disaster to see some of these small market clubs advancing deep and a team like the Rockies or the Marlins or the Reds knocking off the Dodgers in that 3-game series. So I'm in complete agreement with you on that one. But here we go. The top of the 7th, the bazooka comes in to pitch the 7th. Tapia legs out an infield single. Story grounds into a force for the first out, and then Story steals second. Teams are 30 of 35 against the Dodgers this year on steals. So, yes, that's not a part of the game as much as it used to be, but 30 for 35 on steal attempts for the Dodgers, that's not good, okay? So if we see that in the postseason, a team trying to get a runner into scoring position, it could be an issue. So Story steals second. Brusdar falls behind 3-0 to Arenado, then comes back with a 99-mile-per-hour sinker slider, then gets Arenado to ground to Lux at second. Lux was deep behind second on the shift, and it was a high chop, but he makes the throw for the second out to advance. Story advances to third on the play. In comes Kolarek to face Blackman. Lefties were 1 for 21 on the year against Kolarek, but he's also allowed both of his inherited runners to score. So he's allowed both of his inherited runners this year, 2 for 2 on the year, but he gets the Dodgers out of the inning by getting Blackman to ground to first. So nice job by Kolarek tonight. Here we go. We got bottom of the 7th. The Dodgers go down in order. Then top of the 8th, leadoff man gets on for the 4th consecutive inning. The 4th consecutive inning. If you want to know why the Rockies won tonight, it was the Dodgers' inability to get that leadoff runner out. And that is, it reared its ugly head again in the top of that 8th inning, the 4th consecutive inning after a ground ball single to left. So a ground ball single to left. Kemp hits a 2-run bomb on a breaking ball down, and the Rockies retake the lead 7-6. 3rd consecutive outing. Ferguson has given up a home run, served one up against Arizona to Christian Walker, Pilar on Friday, and then a 4-pitch walk to Fuentes, gets Hampson swinging for the first out, gets Diaz to fly to center for the second out, and then Tapia gets his second infield single of the night, giving the Rockies runners on first and second with 2 outs with Story at the plate. They were able to get out of it. Then in the bottom, Bellinger flies to center. Pollock gets his 3rd hit of the game on a bloop shot. Will Smith pops to foul territory, and then Pollock attempts to steal second and was originally ruled safe, but was clearly out. So the Dodgers tonight, if you want to know why they lost, poor base running errors by the Dodgers. Their inability to keep runners, the leadoff walk, the leadoff walks, the leadoff hits to start innings for the Dodgers starters and bullpen, that really hurt the Dodgers in this one. And then in the bottom of the ninth, it looked like the Dodgers were going to make a heroic comeback and preserve that series streak. When Chris Taylor, he grounded out, Matt Beatty strikes out swinging. And then Rios walks to put up the tying run on the plate. Gavin Lux fell behind 0-2. He worked it full, and then he takes a walk to put runners on first and second to face the hottest hitter in Major League Baseball, at least one of them, Corey Seager. And fortunately, Corey Seager, he grounds out to end the game, and that was all she wrote. The Dodgers, they lose tonight 7-6. Their series unbeaten streak ends at 13. They were right up there with the 77 Dodgers, but unfortunately, the Dodgers take the loss. But yeah, a couple reminders, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe to the new Dodgers Nation podcast, Dodgers Dugout, where I take all of the takes from the show. I condense it, and then I put more analysis, highlights, and we add some post-game reaction. So wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, search Dodgers Nation, Dodgers Dugout with a D-O-U-G, spelled like my name, right? Doug McCain. Search that, add the podcast, subscribe, rate, and review, and it's really like your podcast because it's your take. So be sure to join the Dodgers Dugout podcast wherever you find your podcast these days. We got replying to Jay Villa. We got Lux is showing me nothing from Bill Jones. He's playing himself out of the picture. I think Bill Jones, that's a great point in that there's a lot of pressure on Gavin Lux. There's a lot of pressure when you're the minor league player of the year, a prohibitive favorite, the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year, and you got to produce and help this team win a World Series. I think you're seeing that out there. He's pressing a little bit, that swing, a very complicated swing, a little too much hand movement on that swing for my liking right now. And I do think that, yeah, he does need to get it together, and I do think that if he does continue to slide like this, you won't see him have a prominent role in the postseason. So you're right on with that one. And here we go. We got, so a couple more reminders, guys. Head over to DodgersNation.com for all your latest, Dodgers content. DodgersNation.com, your home for all things Dodgers, analysis, highlights, and everything you're going to find over there. How you guys beating the heat, by the way? Let me know down below in the comments. It's about 110 degrees here in this studio right now, but we're doing it here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. So be sure to add me on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at DMAC_LA. That's at DMAC_LA. A couple more things. Let's do the Dodger fact of the day. On this day in 1953, Roy Campanella set the record for home runs with 38. The record for home runs by a catcher, Roy Campanella, with 38. It was broken in 1997 by Todd Hundley of the Mets, who had 41. But hey, Roy Campanella, to me, the greatest catcher of all time, at least in the conversation on this day, all the way back in 1953. But the Dodgers, they lose tonight 7-6 to the Colorado Rockies, the first series loss of the year. We've covered all of tonight's action, though, guys. We'll be back Tuesday. Well, I don't know if we'll be back Tuesday or Wednesday. Follow me on Twitter. I'll have some updates on that. And next week, the Houston Astros come to town. So we'll have plenty to talk about on that one. But thanks again for rocking with us here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. I'm Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodgers baseball. Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.